Maestra. Antonia Joy Wilson is the Artistic Director, CEO, and Conductor of Global Arts Center Multimedia Symphony. Since her debut as the youngest woman to conduct a major American orchestra at age 21, Antonia has gone on to an extensive national and international music career in North and South America, Europe, Africa, and Asia. As a music director of over 8 American orchestras and guest conductor worldwide, she has an extensive experience with classical opera, choral, pops, gospel, dance, ballet, and multimedia repertoire. Earlier in her career, she was invited to perform for Maestro Claudio Abbado, then Maestro Leonard Slatkin, appointed Antonia's Exxon affiliate artist, conducting assistant with the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra, where she conducted 60 concerts annually and helped edit their weekly concert recordings for NPR. An exceptional woman, and her career is still on that trajectory. There's so much more to come, but let's hear now. Thank you.
I just want to say thank you so much, first of all, to you, Alexia, for arranging all of this, holding that space for all of us to come into our power in a much higher way together. And I've been very touched by how much you have opened that up for me personally, too, meeting you this year. I just want to start with a little background. I was a violinist. I was born in England. I played violin. I started kind of late, actually. Started when I was about 9, which is really late when you consider, prodigies. And I had such a wonderful time doing that little by little I got into conducting, and I started seeing all these conductors and playing violin under them. And I really noticed if they were good or if maybe they didn't know the score. That made a huge difference to my playing the violin. So I thought, maybe I should try this out. So when I was 16, I went and did a thing at Rocky Ridge Music Camp, and I did Mozart's Marriage of Figaro Overture. We all had to do it by memory. And we did that, and afterwards the orchestra came up and said, you should really do this for your career. And I was like, well, no, I'm a violinist. I think I'm going to stay with violin. But little by little, I thought, okay, maybe I should try this. And then my first conducting ever happened. This is so funny. I have to tell you my setback to get you to how this even happened. Okay, so I've gone to school as a violinist, right? And then I go to the conservatory in St. Louis, and the dean there, I go to him and I say, I'd really like to take conducting lessons. Could you give me conducting lessons? And he said, well, yeah, let me think about that. Maybe you should just go study L'Histoire de Soldat by Stravinsky, and then we'll talk. And I'm like, okay. So I ran and looked at the score. It was very hard. And I was trying to figure out, well, what am I going to do with this score? It's like, I'm going to need some help. So I came back to him and I said, this looks like an interesting score, but I'm going to need some help from you to how to, what should I be doing? And he goes, well, Antonia, I've been thinking about this. He goes, there are no women in this field. And he said, if I give you lessons, he goes, I think this could be a big waste of both your time and mine. And I was like, what? I was like, are you kidding? And I came from a very famous family, so I was like, what year are we in? so I immediately said to him, okay, we need to do something about this. So I went to the conservatory phone. We didn't have cell phones at that moment. And I dialed on that phone, using their phone, the University of Denver. And I negotiated with the conductor there. Would he let me conduct every year if I played the violin in the orchestra? And he had heard me before. He knew I was good. So he's like, yeah. And I was like, okay. And so I absolutely left my full scholarship, came to the University of Denver, and started again so I could conduct. And it turned out so well, because after that, I began this first little orchestra that I ever had. And it was with a chamber orchestra. And the guy was kind of busy making his own scores and everything. And he said, Antonia, you're doing so well with that. Why don't you just do the concert? I'm like, I can do the concert? Okay, So, and then he couldn't pay me. So he paid me by giving me a Ford Blue Mustang. He gave me his car, this old car, but it's really good for me, It's like, wow. So anyway, little by little, I thought, oh my God, they've hit gold, I have a car. No. But the best thing that happened out of all this was I began seeing how amazing it was to conduct, and how I could bring all these people together and make something so beautiful that went way above and beyond what we normally might think of when we're playing. And so little by little, I began after that, let's see, I gotta keep myself on track here because of the minutes here. Yeah. Okay, so after that, I went to Aspen. That really helped me be seen by Leonard Slotkin, who said, you know, I want her to come audition for St. Louis Symphony. So I said, oh, and I talked to the main guy. I said, am I ready for that? Am I ready? And he goes, no, you're not ready for that, but it'll be really good for you to go audition and just have fun. So I didn't think I'd get it. But I did a lot of work to make that audition, and then they hired me. They actually made a position, a second position, with St. Louis, which was fantastic. So after that, I began seeing, okay, this is going to be better. And then I go into this bar nearby where I'm trying to get my, living in St. Louis. And who do I see in that bar? The dean of the conservatory, who did not teach me conducting. And he's like, what do you do here? And I'm like, well, I'm the new assistant with the St. Louis Symphony. No. He's like, what? Are you kidding? You know? I'm like, I guess you missed that, but no, I'm kidding. I mean, it was a silly thing. It's a small thing, but it's actually a large thing to show you how much that could change. And later, I was against him in many auditions. He's a really talented conductor, actually. He's pretty good. And I was against him in auditions a lot later on, too. So it showed me, see how much as a girl, how much we can make those things look so much larger than they are, and then maybe not want to deal with it, you know. But by leaving him, starting again, and making that decision, I think it was one of the best decisions of my life. And since then, I will have to say to you, my favorite conducting ever was in Teatro Colón in Argentina, where I was doing Berlioz Symphony Fantastique, and then they brought me back to do Scheherazade, and one of my favorite pieces. And this orchestra never had another conductor for like 15 years. They just had guest conductors. So they could do anything. They're watching you like a hawk, making sure every little thing that you do. That was the most spiritually fantastic conducting I've ever done. They were not only phenomenal, they watched everything. And in rehearsal, they could be totally spontaneous. So now, as I leave you today, that spontaneous experience was a female experience. They were going with me in the moment. It was never the same, right? And even in the concert, it was different from the rehearsals, and it was fantastic. And that is my new goal in creating this Global Arts Center Multimedia Orchestra, to have a much more spiritual, kind of female-centered part of it, where everybody is there not because they just play well, but they want to help young kids around the world and have at-risk kids come to music in a new way, free, through our program, virtually, online, and with our multimedia orchestras. So anyway, I think I've already gone a little bit over, but I just want to say I'm so grateful for all of you also to be hearing all of your stories and to seeing how difficult it is. Often, the hardest times, we go through those worst times, right? And then right after that is like this amazing thing. So I just want to keep encouraging you all to do the same thing. And I am very heartened by your stories. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day. And thank you, Alexia, for everything.
Imagine putting her on a boat with an orchestra traveling the world, where they can bring in local musicians and the children who need to hear that and want to hear that, and have a station here, a home base here in Boulder, Colorado. Thank you so much.